What's up, boys? We're taking a look at some more NBA player props today over on PrizePicks. PrizePicks, my favorite website for some player props, just everything player props. NBA, NHL, any other player props. Definitely recommend joining. They have so many different sports on there. They even have esports and stuff like that on there. Definitely recommend using code DOMG when you guys do go ahead and sign up. They match your first deposit 100% up to $100. Helps me out. Helps you guys out as well. Again, 100% deposit match up to $100. A bunch of you guys have been using my code. I seriously do appreciate it. But yeah, let's go ahead and hop into this here. Yesterday was a great day personally and for the video. Yesterday on the video, we were 3-0-1, so didn't even take a single out. We did have one push, which was Will Barton over 3 assists, but the other 3 hit. It was a great day yesterday for that. We're hoping to keep up some momentum here, get a good streak going here, but I feel like yesterday was kind of a tough day for some people, so we were able to kind of navigate our way out of that mess and hit some stuff. And then yesterday on the Patreon and personally, the top 3 hit, the top 3 favorites hit, which was great. So I was really happy with the results yesterday. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and talk about some of these here. And yeah, I got technically 5 for you guys. The very last one is kind of a special one. I'll talk about that. You guys can probably guess who that is. But yeah, it's a guy making his debut for his new team. So we're talking about him a little bit. I'll just say James Harden. We're going to take a look at him. And what I like for him, but just always take everything with a grain of salt, and always just do your own research before we do go ahead and hop into this video. Not everything's official by the end of the day because there's still 6 hours till game time. A lot of stuff changes. A lot of players are ruled out last minute and all that different stuff. I set my entries usually only about an hour before game time just to kind of get out of the way of some of that mess. So a lot of things do change. Odds throughout the day change. So just always keep that in mind. Do your own research. Don't go off it directly, just what I say. But instead, just take some of these into account and maybe think about taking some of these and looking into yourself. But I think pretty much got everything out of the way. Just make sure you guys like the video and subscribe. It seriously does help me out. Turn your post notifications as well. That helps me out too. But let's go ahead now and talk about some of these here. So let's talk about Jalen Green over 14.5 points. So Jalen Green here is one I'm kind of liking in a pretty good matchup. He's hit 4 out of his last 5 games here, averaging 17.8 in his last 5. Oh, something I do want to bring up, though, is that I'm personally probably going to play a little bit lighter today than usual, like I did yesterday, just because there's been such a long break. You don't really know how these guys are going to perform out of breaks. Some guys are really good off of the rest. Some players are just bad, and they're just lost all their momentum, all that different stuff. So you really don't ever know. So that's why I'm probably going to play a little bit later today, and then I'll get back to my normal load probably tomorrow when guys have actually played a game. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about this one, though. So he's a minus 118 to go ahead and hit this over. He's hit 44% of the time this season, 6 out of his last 10 games, and the Orlando Magic just gave up in their last game, 23 to Bogdanovic. I probably butchered that name. I suck with names. And then 15 to Kevin Huerter. So yeah, I expect Jalen Green, who is probably a better player than both of those guys, in my opinion. I think he's a little bit better scorer than Bogdan and Kevin Huerter, but yeah, I'm thinking he can go ahead and grab at least 15 points today. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of these here. So let's take a look at this matchup here. This is called Rotowire NBA starting lineups. So let's take a look at this. So Jalen Green, shooting guard, going against the Orlando Magic. It's a 4-point spread, 234.5 of runner, so it should be a very high-paced, fast-paced game. And with this, hopefully should not get out of hand. Should not be a big blowout, especially with, I don't expect the Magic to blow them out. So we'll see how this goes. But take a look at shooting guard going against the Orlando Magic. So this website is called FanDuel NBA Defenses versus Position on Fantasy Pros. So let's take a look, though, at shooting guard points versus the Orlando Magic. So we're down season-long shooting guard points. And the Orlando Magic are a little bit on the tougher side, I'd say, to shooting guards. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They're allowing the 11th least amount of points to shooting guards. So it's not an overly tough matchup. It's not a tough matchup, but they're right around there. So, but the last 7 games here, they've been horrible lately. So, allowing the 5th most points to the shooting guard position. So, as of late, they've been pretty good, at least in the last 7 games, which was kind of a while ago. But I still think that Jalen Green could definitely get it done because their matchup has been so good recently, and he's been hitting so much recently that he should hopefully be able to keep up the momentum before the All-Star break and grab at least 15 points, especially seeing what the other shooting guards have done to the Magic in the past. So, okay, let's take a look now at player prop number 2 here. Let's take a look at another points one, and I got a PRA for you guys, and then a rebound and an assist prop. But let's take a look at Kelvin Johnson. So Kelvin Johnson is one of my favorite players. I love Kelvin Johnson a lot. He's hit a lot for me, so that's why he's one of my favorite players. But 15.5 points here. I like him a little bit on the over here. He's going against Washington tonight, averaging 19 points in those last 5 games here. 4-5 hit rate in his last 5. Let's take a look more into this prop, though. He's a minus 126 to hit this over. He's hit 49% of the time this season. He has hit 8 out of his last 10 games, but he did have 13 in the last matchup versus Washington. That was also earlier in the season, which was November 29th, so he's kind of taken on more of a scorer role lately. He's definitely in a different position compared to what he was in the beginning of the season, like November, because we're in February now. I mean, it's almost March, actually. But, I mean, his role has just changed so much, so I definitely think that he should hopefully be in a much better position to actually hit this time versus Washington, but we'll take more of a look into this one, so... All right, so Kellen Johnson here, power forward, going against the Washington Wizards. It's a 3-point spread, 223.5 over-under here. 7 o'clock tonight, we'll take a look at how this one's going to go. All right, so let's take a look at season long here, power forward versus the Washington Wizards. And the Wizards here, they're allowing the 5th most points season long to the power forward position. Very, very good spot right there compared to season long. But the last 7 games here, we'll take a look and see where the Washington Wizards are. And they have actually been a lot better versus the power forward, at least in the last 7 games here. So they're on the 6th least of the power forward position, but season long they've been a lot better. So we'll see how this one goes. I am definitely confident in Kellen Johnson to hit this. I think he's got the odds going for him. He's hit definitely recently in his last 10 games. He's definitely been on a streak, but we'll see if he can keep it up after the All-Star break here. But he's one that I think is definitely worth taking a look at here. All right. Let's take a look now at a PRA here. Let's take a look at Yaakov Potol. So I like Potol a little bit here. He's definitely one of my favorite players for some player props here. But yeah, he's 2 for 5 in his last 5 games. Coming off of 2 good games though. He hit against Chicago. He hit against OKC. Again, another Spurs player going against the Washington Wizards here. So he's averaging 25.6 in his last 5. So averaging over this by 0.1. But let's take a look into this one. So he is a -108 to hit this over, which I don't really know why he's not favorited on this one. I definitely think this is a good spot for him, but he's hit 47% of the time this season, 6 out of 10 in his last 10 games, and he had 26 versus Washington on November 29th. So this one's a little bit interesting, though. I would take his points, personally, if he wasn't bumped on prize picks, but he's bumped on prize picks. I believe he's at 13.5. I think he was 12.5, but they bumped him because the odds were so good at 12.5. So I'm kind of leaning more towards PRA, but I'm not sure how I feel about those rebounds. So this is one that's probably my least favorite of the day, just because of the odds and all that. But I still think it's a very, very good spot. He did have 26 versus Washington last time, but again, it was in November. I think his role has kind of increased since then. So let's take a look, though, at center going against the Washington Wizards here. It's a 3-point spread, 223.5 over-under, both good looks. Already talked about that. Let's take a look here at center going against the Washington Wizards. So let's take a look at just FanDuel right here. This is FanDuel points, so this factors in turnovers, blocks, and steals. So we're just going to take a look at this. We're going to use it for PRA, but it's obviously not going to be exact. But they're allowing the 4th most fantasy points to centers. So that's fantasy points, though. Keep that in mind. But we'll take a look at these stats individually. So season long, they're allowing the 5th most points to the center position. Rebounds, let's take a look at rebounds. And they are allowing the 6th most. I think I counted that right. 6th most rebounds to the center position. And then assist-wise, they are allowing the 6th most. So definitely a good spot season long for everything for centers against the Washington Wizards. Last 7 games, though, things do change quite a bit, I do believe. So, yeah, Washington, when it comes to fantasy points, is a little bit down a little bit. But let's take a look at the points here. So for Washington, they're definitely still kind of on the easier side. A little bit in the middle. I'd say they're probably around that 12th, 13th range, somewhere around there, I'd say. But for points and then rebounds here, still on the easier side, though, allowing the 5th most there. And then assists, they are, I believe, yeah, kind of in the middle. So it's still a pretty good matchup for Yaakov Potol in the last 7 games. It's even better season long. So hopefully you can get that season long defense compared to the more recent matchups. But I think it should be a pretty good spot for him to hit this over. He did it last time, and that was earlier in the season. But we'll see how this goes. He's definitely got the matchup to go ahead and do it. So that's why he's on this list. All right, let's take a look at the guy new to Philly here. I wonder how many Philly cheesesteaks he's eaten so far. But, yeah, James Harden here. 6.5 rebounds, 9.5 assists. We're going to be taking a look at both and seeing which one I prefer, because I think both are in very, very good spots. Both are favored to go over. And I took a look, too, at last time when his first game with the Brooklyn Nets, he had 32 points, 14 assists, and 12 rebounds. Albeit it was against the Orlando Magic, but he's playing Minnesota today. He was on a back-to-back. They just played last night. So we'll see how this one goes. But Deandra Russell, man, he clutched up so much for me last night. I love D'Lo. It was insane. He splashed a 3 with like a minute left. It was awesome. So freaking high. My night would have been so bad if he did not hit that. But yeah, James Harden here. Let's take a look at his rebounds first going against Minnesota. So let's take a look now at the not Brooklyn Nets game. We're taking a look at the Philadelphia 76ers game. But 3-point spread, 229 over-under, which is a good over-under and a good spread. Both are pretty healthy. Hopefully those end up being not a blowout and a high-scoring game for some overs. So I guess not. Yeah, kind of do want a high-scoring game. We want the fast pace for the rebounds, and we want the high scoring pretty much for the assists. But let's take a look, though, at shooting guard going against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Start off with rebounds here. So, actually, I didn't talk about... so, his rebounds here, he's a minus 134 to hit his over. He's hit in 75% of games this season. So, I don't know why this number is so low, but he's hit in 75% of games this season. He's hit 8 out of his last 10 games. He had 7 in the first matchup versus Minnesota and 5 in the second, though. So, maybe that's why the number's a little bit lower. But, yeah, he's still hit in 75% of games, if I read that right, which I think I did. But, yeah, it's pretty crazy. And then James Harden assists. He's a minus 130 to go over. Hit in 57% of games, 8 out of 10 in his last 10 games. He had 9 in the first matchup and then 13 in the second matchup. By the way, that first matchup was on December 3rd. The second matchup was on January 23rd. So let's take a look, though, at rebounds first. Let's get on track here. So Minnesota here allowing the 3rd most rebounds to the shooting guard position so far this season. Last 7 games, things do change a little bit. As they are allowing some of the least amount of rebounds to those shooting guard positions. So 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, allowing the 9th least amount of rebounds to the shooting guard position. So they've been really, really good lately about limiting those rebounds, but season long they've been allowing quite a bit. So we'll see how this one goes here. But also, James Harden has destroyed Patrick Beverley in the past, so we'll see if Pat Bev is guarding Harden or Maxey. But yeah, Harden has destroyed him, at least points-wise, so I looked at that, but he has not been good points-wise against Minnesota, though, so something to kind of note there. But let's take a look, though, at... Yeah, let's take a look at assists now. So he's at 9.5 assists. Let's take a look at this. So shooting guard assists versus Minnesota, so allowing the 4th most assists to the shooting guard position, and then the last 7 games here, Minnesota is still on the easier side. 4.95 is the number, but I like to pay attention to more of where they rank among other teams. But so 5, yeah, probably around that, kind of right in the middle, I'd say, right? Probably about smack in the middle. 14th this range, allowing the most assists, somewhere around there. I didn't count it, but yeah, personally, I'd probably prefer the rebounds, just considering what he has hit on the season. I mean, he's come closer to his assists, though, I'd say. I don't know. I think both are pretty good options. The rebounds are more favored to go over, but just barely. If I had to choose one, I'd probably go with rebounds on the over for James Harden. I think he's in a pretty good spot. We'll see, though. I think he might be dishing the ball out a little bit on his brand new team, but he could also be trying to score a little bit on his new team, too. But he just hasn't been really good against Minnesota in the past, so I elected to not go with the points for James Harden and rather go with either rebounds or assists. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you guys for today's video. So again, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your post notifications. Those things really help me out. And use code DOMG on prizepicks. Again, they match your first deposit 100% up to $100, man. But that's going to do it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Say big tonight. Goodbye.